Hello. Today we'll talk about the Edge 60 Fusion, Motorola's first phone launch of 2025. If you remember, last year's Edge 50 Fusion was one of the best-selling phones in the Edge series, and Moto is looking to one-up that success with the Edge 60 Fusion, which, by the way, has a lot going for itself, and I was left surprised while reviewing this phone. So, is this curved wonder your next smartphone or just another pretty face in the crowd? I spent the last 5 days with this phone, and here are 6 reasons why you should consider it and 3 reasons why you might want to skip the Edge 60 Fusion. Let's go. The centerpiece here really is the quad curved POLED display, which is just excellent. It immediately stands out as soon as you take it out of the box, and with a 1.5K resolution, everything, be it text or videos, looks sharp and vivid. The 120Hz refresh rate keeps everything smooth, though I should note that this is a downgrade from the 144Hz refresh rate that you often see on Moto phones. The reason for that, Motorola says, is that they got feedback where users were getting relatively lower screen on time and battery backup when the display was set to 144Hz at all times. The display specs are impressive on papers, and Motorola claims a peak brightness of 4500 nits for HDR content, while the regular high brightness mode tops out at 1400 nits. In our display tests using Calman and C6 colorimeter, we found out that the Edge 60's display is perfectly color calibrated with an average delta E of 1 and 100% sRGB and DCI-P3 coverage, meaning it's as good as it gets whether you're scrolling social media or binging your favorite shows. The content always looks vibrant and immersive, and the display has a near perfect RGB balance. In our display brightness test, the display went up to 2400 nits of peak brightness in the adaptive mode, which is respectable for outdoor visibility. As I said, the Edge 60 Fusion's curved design feels really good in the hand. We get over 96% screen to body ratio, which is impressive, and at 180 grams and 8.2 millimeters thickness, this phone feels substantial but not at all bulky. On the contrary, due to the curved panel, the phone feels quite lightweight and comfortable to hold in one hand. Being a Motorola phone, we get Volkswagen leather in 3 Pantone colors: Slipstream, Amazonite and Zephyr. I like the Amazonite color more since it has a canvas-like texture which feels quite different in the hand than the Zephyr variant. But overall, this design gives it a distinct premium feel, and it's a refreshing departure from the endless sea of glass-backed phones. That being said, the frame of this phone is still plastic, but the build quality is solid, and you get an IP68-69 dust and water resistant rating. We get the Dimensity 7400 SoC with the Edge 60 Fusion, and props to Moto for making the default storage as 256GB, and while UFS 2.2 isn't the fastest standard available, it is still sufficient for most users. There's also microSD card expansion up to 1TB, which is becoming increasingly rare in mid-range smartphones. In benchmarks, the Edge 60 Fusion lives up to its potential with a 20% uptake in AnTuTu and 27% increase in graphics performance in comparison to the Edge 50 Fusion. In the CPU throttling test, the phone showed minimal signs of throttling, which is decent, but as per our test labs, the Edge 50 Fusion performed around 10% better in this particular test. In my daily use, I did not face any stutters or lags while opening or closing apps, switching between multiple apps like Instagram and Twitter, and generally, the performance remained smooth in my time with it. Motorola's approach to Android remains one of the cleaner implementations all around. The Edge 60 Fusion runs Android 15 out of the box with Motorola's promise of 3 major OS updates and 4 years of security patches. This puts it slightly behind some competitors that offer longer support, but it's still respectable. In fact, this review unit already received the March security update, and Motorola has a proven track record of timely updates. It's fast, snappy, and doesn't come with a single bloatware app. Now, I've used a lot of these Android skins across different phones, and I feel Moto UI along with Nothing OS are two of the cleanest and freshest user interfaces on phones today, especially in this price segment. We also get a ton of AI goodness with Moto AI like contextual search, notification summaries, and Magic Canvas. But I really like the Remember This tool, which lets you save screenshots, photos, and notes with context so that it reminds you later on. The camera system is headlined by a 50-megapixel main camera that uses Sony's Letia 700C sensor with OIS. On paper, this is a solid setup and performs well, especially in challenging lighting conditions. Supporting this is a 13 megapixel ultra wide with a 120-degree field of view that also doubles as a macro camera. The third rear lens is actually not a camera but a 3-in-1 light sensor for ambient light detection, flicker reduction and RGB color sensing. For selfies, there is a 32 megapixel front camera that bins down to 8 megapixel for better light sensitivity. Video capabilities include 4K video recording at 30 fps or 1080p at 60 fps from both front and rear cameras. There's an auto enhance feature that uses AI to boost highlights, details and vibrancy but takes an extra 5 to 6 seconds to process the image. In daylight, the H60 Fusion cameras offers great performance with good details, colors and textures. The pictures look vibrant with natural looking bokeh, and even in harsh light, the camera is able to balance saturation levels without overexposing the highlights. In low light, the H60 Fusion performs even better as it retains close to natural colors and details, especially in shadow areas. The camera offers deeper and more natural blacks in pictures shot at night or in low light conditions. Side-by-side comparison with the Nothing Phone 3a showed better detail retention and crisp visuals as opposed to softening around the edges. In this picture, for example, you can see how the lavender color flowers look bright and detailed on the H60 Fusion, while on the Phone 3a it looks diffused and doesn't manage to accurately represent details. There's better highlight controls on the H60 Fusion as opposed to the Phone 3a, which sometimes overcompensates on the processing front. Battery life is a strong point with a large 5500 mAh battery, which is a 500 mAh increase from the H50 Fusion. In my use, which included a lot of heavy lifting, juggling between multiple social media apps, watching videos, using Google Maps, a bit of gaming on the side, and not to mention the display being at 120Hz at all times, I got around 7 to 8 hours of screen on time easily. In the PCMark battery life test, the H60 Fusion lasted for over 9 hours, which is a respectable score when it comes to daily use. Moto provides a 68-watt fast charger in the box, and using it, you can charge your phone from 0 to 100% in just about 48 minutes. In 2025, the omission of NFC is puzzling at best and deal-breaking at worst. It's pretty much standard in this segment, but the H60 Fusion doesn't have NFC, which means you cannot use any of the tap to pay features. And if tap to pay is part of your daily routine, you'll need to look elsewhere. One thing I noticed is that the H60 Fusion arrives without a protective case in the box. When I reached out to Moto about this curious omission, they explained it was a cost-cutting measure, claiming there's enough third-party support for cases and skins these days. While I understand the business point of view, my recommendation to them was to make the first-party cases available for purchase separately. Their official cases typically offer better fit and finish, and many users prefer matching their phones with the accessories from the same brand. The Dimensity 7400 is just fine. It will handle day-to-day tasks without any complaints, but it's not winning any benchmark championship. Power users or serious mobile gamers might find themselves wanting more headroom, in which case there are plenty phones in this sub 30k segment that focus on just offering raw performance for gamers. The Motorola H60 Fusion is a complete package with some clear strength in display, build quality, capable cameras, stable performance, clean software and dependable battery life. However, it also has some puzzling omissions like NFC and protective case. At 22,999, the H60 Fusion isn't trying to be everything to everyone, but if you want a dependable performance, great viewing experience, clean and snappy software experience, this is the phone to buy for most users. But if you want cutting-edge raw performance, you game a lot and use NFC for contactless payments, you might want to swipe left on this one. That's my take on the Motorola H60 Fusion. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe for more tech reviews, and thanks for watching.